Hi, my name is Marissa Maloof, and I'm an attorney at the Immigration Law Office of Los Angeles. I'm going to talk with you a little bit today about the affirmative asylum process. But first, just a little bit about me and why I want to talk to you about that to begin with. Before I was here at the Immigration Law Office of LA, I worked actually as a federal government attorney. I worked in the Department of Justice, writing decisions for the immigration judges, usually about asylum matters. And then after that, I worked as an asylum officer, which means that I would adjudicate applications for asylum and interview applicants for asylum and write my decisions on those cases. So asylum is something very near and dear to my heart, and just something that I think overall can seem like a very intimidating process that can be confusing and where there's just not a whole lot of information about actually the way the process works. So many times we think of asylum and we think of people in immigration court or people at the border. But for most applicants, actually, the asylum process starts once they've entered the United States, usually on a visa, or even if you entered without documents. And typically what occurs is that you file what's called an affirmative application for asylum with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. And your application goes to the Los Angeles Asylum Office, which is actually in Anaheim, California, right next to Disneyland. So it's very important too to keep in mind when you're filing this application, if you fear returning to your country, that you make sure you file it within a year of your entry into the United States. So as I said, the process begins with filing this application within a year of your entry into the United States. And at this point in time, there's a new policy that the Trump administration has of called last in, first out, which means that if you file your application right now, your application will actually take priority and you'll get an interview on that application very soon, usually only, a month to two after you filed it. So it's really important that you make sure that when you file the application, you are prepared, that you have all of the evidence you want to submit in your case, and that you have, a good legal argument for why you are deserving of asylum, just because you're not going to have that much time between the submission and your interview, which really underscores why you need to have a good attorney who can help you in your case and who can help you get all of the evidence needed for that application to be an approval at the asylum office. So once you submit it with all of your evidence, briefs, and documentation and declaration discussing your eligibility for asylum, then you'll get an interview notice, typically about 2 to 3 weeks after that, and then you'll be scheduled to get your fingerprints done, not a scary situation, and then you'll actually be scheduled to go to your asylum interview down in Anaheim, California. The day of the interview can be a very intimidating day. We see it all the time with our clients, and I saw it personally as an asylum officer in the people that I would be interviewing. But it's important to remember that this is an interview. It's non-adversarial. It's actually just more like a conversation between the officer and you, the applicant. Nonetheless, your preparation for it is very important. I cannot overestimate the importance of actually being prepared for this interview, because while it's non-adversarial, they can ask tough questions, and you really need to know your story and understand what the government might be asking you beforehand, so you're prepared for anything that they could ask. You will not get a decision on the day of your interview, which is a common misconception people have when they go in. They would always ask me, will I get my decision today? And the answer is no. It's a lengthy interview, and there's a lot of fact-finding, and the asylum officer needs to analyze your case afterwards. You'll typically be given what's called a pickup notice, which says to come back to Anaheim in 2 weeks, 2 weeks after the interview, and you'll get your decision at that time, or your decision could be mailed to you. If your case is granted, you'll get an I-94 stamped and be on your path to getting a green card soon thereafter. If your case is referred, that means that the immigration officer, the asylum officer, did not approve your application. It's not the same as your application actually being denied. It just means that at that step, the officer wasn't able to approve it based on the facts of the case that were known at that point in time. So then you go to immigration court at that point, and you have a whole chance to present your case again. So the world is not over just because the asylum officer disagrees or didn't think that there was enough evidence for your case. But hopefully you won't get to that point. So that is just a little bit of information about the process. It can be an intimidating one, but preparation is very key. If you're interested in filing for affirmative asylum, I would love to help you with your case and help you get prepared so that way you can have a smooth ride at the asylum office. Please call our office at 800-792-9889. Thank you.